Welcome to Coffee Conversations with Les and Paul, Revelation Edition.
A podcast sponsored by Piedmont Road Church of Christ and Ministry League.
We're here to discuss the book of Revelation, just as if Jesus were here himself. I am Paul Sperlin.
And I am Les Sandifer, and we hope you will enjoy our relaxed, Bible-based discussions.
I like that. Thanks for joining us as we think about and talk about all those things we'd ask Jesus over a cup of coffee.
Wee doggy. Now
And
we got
this is the show.
we have got a task in front of us today.
We do, but we still got stuff to do. But yeah, you're right.
We've got
You're
a
right.
task because we have flipped into the fifth and sixth trumpets,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's a lot of music there.
for some reason when they break this down, that becomes 21 verses of a chapter as we break down chapters in our Bible. Just for what it's worth, folks, when you go to Revelation chapter 9, it's 21 verses.
And
It's
it's a sad
stuff.
story. Don't even, I think it's good to, when you study the book of Revelation, you can't omit a chapter. But let me just tell you, if you had to, this is it.
It's sad.
It is so sad. And it's sad because if you don't do the right thing.
It really...
The synopsis of chapter 9 is, it's a sad book. It's a sad chapter.
Yeah.
And if you're not living right, you probably need to go to this chapter, to be honest with you. If you're not living right and you're not repenting of your sins and you're doing things you shouldn't do, and yeah, go to chapter 9. That'd be good.
Yeah, especially if you walk away from it understanding that the essence of it is to tell you how bad sin is in your life.
And what you're going to be dealing with.
I mean, just what you're going to deal with.
Oh, my word.
Shout out to our sponsors, Piedmont Road Church of Christ.
Because I'm scared of heights.
What?
Well, you know, the abyss and the bottomless pit. And all that. I'm sorry.
I had no idea.
You're selling.
I had no idea where that was going. I'm scared of heights.
I am scared of heights. But if I'm scared of heights, I'm probably scared of depths.
To the shaft of the bottomless pit. That
Yeah.
does bring up a very specific image. We'll get there in a minute.
We haven't paid the bills yet.
We haven't even paid the
I'll just
bills.
cut you off. I'm
Our
sorry.
sponsors, Ministry League and Piedmont Road Church of Christ, the eldership specifically here at Piedmont Road Church of Christ.
Yeah. That is at lifeinchrist.com.
Yep.
And ministryleague.com. And if you want to send us an email, please do that. You can do that at coffeeconvo@lifeinchrist.com. And both Les and I will get that, and we will answer it and send it back to you and, do whatever we can do to further
right.
that communication.
That's right.
Go to YouTube for Ministry League. Our shows are actually on YouTube. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube. And Spotify, and listen to this show and the other show, Coffee Conversations. 30 minutes for God, and so a lot of good things there. A lot of
If you
good
bop
things
out
happening.
on YouTube, just bookmark it, and you can easily go back to it.
Subscribe,
Or
subscribe.
get
Be
the
great.
Ministry League app and go to the networks.
Absolutely,
Very
so
easy
many
to find.
things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
And
a
tell people
long
about it.
list.
It is a lot of
podcast
shows,
stuff in there.
a lot of shows. But on ours specifically, if you enjoy it, and even if you don't, tell folks about it that you do.
Yes. Yes. Just tell them you love us to death.
And it is neat. I will say,
Even unto death.
even unto death.
That's Revelation.
He's
wording.
going Bible for us.
So you're welcome.
We're here. Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
Bring us right in.
Oh, so they were given a warning by the eagle coming out of what we call chapter 8. Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on the earth at the blast of the other trumpets that the three angels are about to blow. And I can tell you the fifth I'm telling you, dear listener, because Paul and I had a conversation about this, but the fifth and sixth angels and therefore their trumpets bring a warning that is like no other.
That
To
is
Paul's
correct.
point, this is not a happy chapter.
It's not. It's not at all.
Start to finish.
And it's
Well,
funny that
we could
you
just leave it
said
there, couldn't
eagle. I mean, you said eagle because there's also
That's what it says.
that's what it says.
Heard an eagle.
Yeah,
It's got to literally be an eagle, right?
I think so. I think we're going back to the three. No, which one are you talking?
Literally.
Oh, why do I keep saying literally?
No, I said it. I thought
Did
you
you
were
say
gonna,
it?
I thought you were going to call me out for saying the
no.
word literally.
I don't do that.
Okay.
I'll let that one lie.
We're going to have to take a moment.
No, I had a really good point there. I had in my mind. I was going to say, and now I forgot what it was.
So sorry.
It's okay.
You want some silence?
Let me just start over.
See if it
Welcome to. No, just kidding.
See if it comes back. It'll
And
come
you go,
back.
oh, it's got it.
Got it.
So we got those 4 creatures. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, in different, and so they were in different shapes and forms
Yeah.
in the face, and one of them actually was the face of an eagle. the
So you
fourth
think
one.
the eagle's flying back in from chapter
I think
4?
whether he is
5?
or not, I mean, I think that it's okay to it says eagles. Let's go with that.
Hey,
But the symbolism is flowing.
you know what?
That's what's happening.
The beauty of understanding really the high level view of these symbols is to understand that it could easily have been the eagle,
Oh yeah,
the same eagle flying
Yeah.
back in for another round of something,
right.
to tell us something or do something.
And we say
And
this,
it won't hurt.
right.
It won't matter.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
We're looking through the eyes of John.
That's right.
And he's a lonely dude. I mean, he's
At this moment in life,
he's in this little island and
yeah.
a little place where
If
we
the
call-
history
we call
research
Patmos.
is to be understood, a lot of his contemporaries have been martyred. They're gone.
That's true. That's a good point.
So he is
Yeah.
the lone apostle.
That's yet
Left.
another reason why maybe he was put in a place of isolation, and so nobody could get to him.
Hadn't even thought about
Yeah,
that.
isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Could be.
Cool.
But we also want to make sure you understand, and we say this most shows, this is still the letter to the 7 churches of Asia.
That's right.
We still have some symbolism we're dealing with, and a lot of it chock full.
Yep.
But if you look specifically at chapter 9, as this symbolism is used, these things are still active today.
Yeah, and let's go back to the
So this is
7.
for you too.
Yeah, and to the 7 churches, which helps us understand who we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Same correlation.
Right.
You think about when the church at, let's say, Pergamum
Okay.
jumps in and reads this part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been told very specifically, you think you're rich, you're poor.
That's right.
And then they read this, and maybe there's some things going on in their lives that put them in the camp of being affected, in their personal lives by sin.
Right. Absolutely.
But I mean, to your point, I mean, it's written to the 7 churches, and chapter 9 or this section of these trumpets may not have the same impact to those that are faithful in some of those churches as it does to some of those that are living on the ragged edge of sin all the
Right.
time.
That's true.
And really, the question for us is, where are we? I mean, if you look at trumpet 5, just a high level, call it sin's effect on the sinner. What's going on in the person's life that's not living the way God wants them to do?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? We have
Oh,
to
yeah.
do self-examination. Ask ourselves, where?
Yeah, and that's you. And you
Where do we
talk
stand?
about trumpet 5, and you're talking about angel 5.
Yes.
We also notice that even from the very beginning, even if you're an angel, if you show too much pride and too much desire for something that's not yours, and you start feeling jealous, God doesn't have time for that, and He's going to kick you out.
That was a poor representation,
No!
audibly of.
We didn't plan that, but that worked pretty well together. I
Yeah.
liked it. That was
I don't do a good
no, it was a
whistle or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, that's what it was.
Did I hear
Well,
like an
I mean, it was a
explosion on that
representation
soundboard
of,
over there?
of
Hit it.
Satan getting booted,
Yeah,
and we know he did.
Yeah, he did.
We knew he got kicked,
sure we do. Yeah,
and now resides in the nether. I guess the figurative nether regions, because
yeah.
I mean, in the spiritual realm, I don't know that there's necessarily an up and down and a.
Right.
But anyway,
But as we start chapter 9, let me just give this correlation.
do it.
When you're like you're watching TV or you're on the internet or you hear things about things, you think of that person's a rock star. Oh, they're a rock star. It doesn't mean they're a good person. It means they go above and beyond, or they do some things that are crazy, or that they just do things differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're seeing here in chapter 9.
Okay.
If someone is mentioned as a star, it doesn't mean they're a great person. It means they step out there a little bit, and then they do things a little differently, and they separate themselves from others. But usually, when you separate yourself,
yeah,
you want to bring somebody with you, because misery loves company.
do you necessarily want to be a star? You know what I'm saying? 'Kay, to your point,
Not according to this chapter, I don't.
was Jesus that person? No.
No.
He was despised and afflicted.
Yeah.
Isaiah 53.
He was avoided in his own home country.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my word.
Yeah. So that's a great point. And the 5th angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star falling from heaven to earth.
Don't be that guy.
And he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit.
That just sounds awful.
It does.
He was given the shaft
It does.
to the bottomless pit.
Yeah. The key.
The key.
He was given the key.
Yeah, here, you can have the key to this. No one else wants to be there. But
So who do you think this is?
Oh, there's a devil.
You just go ahead and say it
It's a devil.
because he's given the key to.
Yeah. And
He's
he's
given the-
fallen.
He's given the keys to the hell kingdom,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. So over these next few verses, and we'll read them,
Yeah.
but over these next several verses, there's a lot of imagery here. We ain't gonna break all this imagery down.
No.
But it's interesting to read because keep in your mind, dear listener, as we go through this, that what we're talking about is a lot of ugly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about living your life in sin, I was making the comment before we came on air about just some ugliness you see in your life. So if you watch any shows where you see people that are affected by drugs, for instance, heroin, methamphetamine,
Right.
you look at how their lives are controlled and become for those sinful things that exist. The life of a Christian is not easy in a general sense, but you're not encumbered by all of this negative stuff from a sin point of view
Right.
in general. So here we go. Let's just read a few verses. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Now, again, keep in mind as we go through these images that we're talking about,
They just don't sound nice.
we're not talking about Satan and what Satan brings into
Yeah.
the world and your life if you choose not to follow God.
That's right.
Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or tree, but only those people who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Hearken yourself back. There it is. Hearken.
I love it.
Hearken yourself back to chapter 7,
We're here.
where
I
we
like
talked
it.
about the faithful that are of God and of Jesus.
And don't forget, you go back to Exodus 10,
Yep.
verse 4. He throws locusts on a situation of people that are also not doing what he asked them to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is punishment.
Joel 1
don't,
has a tie to locusts.
Don't misunderstand.
A lot of Old Testament imagery
Oh, yeah, for
again in this. The scorpion thing, I've got just written down here. I've got 4 different scripture references.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily worth delving into them, but just understanding that this imagery has a very specific meaning to a first century audience.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen this before. And you have, if you go do a little digging on this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll be.
Verse 5, they were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. I've never experienced that personally, but
Me neither, but I hear it hurts.
and again, that imagery versus symbol versus literal. This is where you have to be very cognizant and very cognitive
Right.
as a human being reading this to go,
Be aware.
okay, it's not literally talking about that their torment is this, but you can imagine in your mind's
Yeah.
eye because you've experienced something like it.
That's correct.
You got zapped by a bee when you're, or a yellow jacket when you're cutting the grass. I had an experience with the yellow jackets. They came out of their hole in the ground. They stung me,
That's awful.
and it made me mad. And you know what I did? I poured gas in their hole,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't enough.
Nope.
I lit the gas.
Got to light it up.
And you know what I did? I didn't move my head.
Oh, no.
So I'm looking over the hole, and the puff goes.
Straight up.
Yeah, I didn't burn anything, but I was dangerously close.
Oh, my goodness. Did it singe hair or anything?
No.
When did this happen?
A lesson, folks. If
When
you're-
did this happen?
If you're gonna, it's years and years ago.
Oh.
If you're gonna pour gas in, because yellow jackets like to nest in the ground. If you're gonna pour gas in there, you don't need to light it. Just so you know, it's not
Sorry.
necessary to light it because the fumes kill the yellow
That's
jackets.
right. You don't have to light it up.
But if you decide to light it from a
Get
distance.
back. Walk away.
Yeah.
That's
'Cause-
something Les couldn't do. He
'cause,
couldn't walk away.
Because gasoline vaporizes very easily, and that
I'm so
will
sorry for laughing.
blow up your world.
I
You
just saw it.
should. It's a great picture.
I saw you as a cartoon character.
It's a
and
great
it was
mental picture.
Funny thing.
Yeah, if you,
I'm glad you're okay.
I didn't get any fire on me.
Good.
But
I'm so glad.
but you could at least envision that. Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, my word.
Just a quick side note to verse
He didn't even mention that
5.
before. He saved that one.
I
That's
know
good.
it was for on air, so you could
Okay.
laugh at it.
That's good. Thank you.
Verse 5, they
Enjoyed
were
it.
allowed to torment for 5 months, but not kill them. It's a limited limited duration here.
Notice that, though. I think it's interesting.
What?
To kill someone is to put them out of their misery.
Yes.
They need misery.
Well, and there's an element here that you got to believe is God's
Oh, yeah.
allowing them to experience it, but patience to say, maybe this will turn you around.
Well, this is, again, we're paralleling the existence in hell.
That's right.
And you don't go to hell, you burn, you die. You don't die in hell.
That's
Sorry.
right.
It's an
forever.
eternal, forever death.
Verse 6, and in those days people will seek death, not find it.
See,
They will
told you.
long to die, but death will flee from them. Your point exactly.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to give us some more imagery around what we're already talking about. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold, and faces like human faces.
Right.
Hair like women's hair, teeth like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron.
Done up.
Noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots with horses rushing into battle.
Right.
And really reading all of this just because, just consistent, that's what we're doing. But understanding that this imagery that just is just more and more of the understanding of how powerful Satan can be in your life if you allow him to control you.
Yeah, don't miss the demonic connection here.
That's right.
I mean, that's well received and connected with this passage.
They have tails and stings like scorpions. Their power to hurt people for 5 months is in their tails. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. There he is again.
There he is again.
Mm-hmm. Remember that angel thing?
Oh, yeah.
Some good, some bad.
That's right.
Booted out of heaven.
Mm-hmm. See ya.
His name in Hebrew is, and I'm going to say these wrong, Abaddon? Abaddon?
Abaddon. I think it's Abaddon.
And in Greek, he's called Apollyon?
Apollyon and Abaddon. Yeah.
Destruction, destroyer.
Right.
We've got some Old Testament references to this, right?
We do. Abaddon means destruction. Apollyon means destroyer.
What was it you were talking about in Job?
Yes.
Very specifically,
Yes.
Apollyon? That doesn't sound right.
Well,
Because that's
if you
the
go back to
Greek
Exodus
word.
30 verse
Yeah.
3, you shall overlay your pure gold at its top of a round, its sides and its horns, and shall make a molding of gold around it. That's what we're getting after the mentioning. Oh, that's jumping into verse 13 though.
Okay. Hold that thought then.
Yeah,
we'll come back to it.
that. Let's wait on that.
But anyway, if you go back and look, this is not the first time they've heard these words.
But Job 18.
Job
18,
18.
14.
Yeah.
He is torn from the tent in which he trusted and is brought to the king of terrors.
Wow.
Y'all, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Chapter 9.
Back up in, I don't know if it was that same Job. Anyway, one of these two
Powerful.
One of these two names is specifically mentioned and really in reference, like a lot of things in that Job dialogue.
Yeah.
God is in control.
I hear you.
So verse 12, the first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come.
Found it.
So that'll be 6 and 7. What
You
was
want
it? Yep.
It was Job 26:6. Sheol is naked before God, and Abaddon has no covering.
And that makes sense because that's
Yeah.
a Hebrew word.
That's it.
So it makes sense.
For sure.
We're getting both the New Testament and Old Testament, New Testament.
We're bringing all of you,
versions
folks.
of the same
That's what
thing.
you get with the Lesson Paul Show.
2 woes still to come. So we're going to get the 6th angel
Whoa.
starting in verse 13. So if you think of
Yeah.
the 5th trumpet as being sin's effect on you as a person, and I mean, really, if you go back and you look at people that seek death will not find it, they long to die, death will flee them. The individual that's dealing with the sin in their life, you look at it 2 ways. One is the hell view. This is your reward for that lifestyle.
Right.
Or the earthly view that when you allow yourself to get into sin, you can't get out of that cycle. It is like living the life of I just want to be beyond this and I can't get beyond it. So, but both pieces of it. Now we're gonna change directions a little bit. Now we're gonna talk about kind of the concept of how your sin affects others,
Oh, absolutely.
or how the sin's effect on those around you.
Something else before we I know we're about to leave the woes here. In the New Testament, as that word is used in the Greek, it is to stop or to take notice,
Like a horse.
like a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whoa means stop. Yes, stop. But if you remember some of the passages, usually the word woe was used like woe be unto you or
Yeah.
woe back.
Yeah.
Being raised by a preacher who preached from the KJV constantly and only KJV. That's not true. American Standard Version.
Yeah.
Old American Standard Version.
Yeah.
He would a lot to me say, Bob Spurlin would tell me, he would say, woe be unto you if you do this or this or this. I'm like,
Did he really?
Dad, please don't KJV me right now. And I usually got in trouble for
He
that.
ASV'd you?
He ASV and KJV'd me. Yeah, he sure
Wow.
did. Woe be unto you. That tells me you better not do this. And I think that is consistent with this. And it's funny because later in life, me and my dad laughed about that. I wasn't at the time because I got in trouble.
But as a child, that
As a child,
that elicits a response.
yes, it's like, okay,
You might get a smack. You
stop
might
it.
get a
yeah.
might get a harsh word. Whatever it is.
Or something worse. But
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. So
Oh,
that tells
dad,
us here.
My dad chased me around with a belt a few times.
Woo. Yeah, we don't get into punishment practices, but I had to go pick up my own switch sometimes.
But we are talking about punishment
We are
right here
absolutely.
in this section.
Yeah,
I only had to switch one time that I can ever remember, and he went and got it, and it was the worst torture in the world waiting for him to come back from that tree.
yeah.
I'd rather him just take the belt off and chase me around the room.
I wish he would give me more time. though.
Smack and get over it.
If he'd give me
Smack,
some
get over
time
it.
to deal with it.
Oh, no, not me.
Oh, me. Then I could have put on like 10 pairs of underwear.
Oh, no, I just wanted the wailing and move on.
I did that once.
You know why he did it?
It's pretty awesome.
He did it because he stopped doing that and made me write stuff because he knew it was way more torture to me.
But now
I wasn't tortured by the belt.
And I didn't get a cell phone until I was in my 20s.
Wow.
Yeah. I was at least 21, 22. I was obviously out of school. But
I wonder if any teenagers listen to our podcast because
I
they're
know
just
one that
thinking,
does.
what?
yeah. But because cell phone, because cell phones, I'm old anyway. But today, all we got to do is take either keys or a cell phone, and it will destroy the life of a teenager.
That's fair.
If you're a parent, you're listening, I'm telling you, this is what it does.
Let's be honest. You take my cell phone, it's going to destroy my life.
That's
Because
good point.
I mean, we
Chapter
live.
9, taking away cell phones, folks. It's the worst. I'm telling you.
It is destruction or destroyer. Which one are you?
That's awesome.
The first woe's gone.
Yeah.
2 to leave, 2 to go. Verse 13, the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar before God. Whew, I like that phrase.
That's cool.
Saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So the 4 angels who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill a third of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000, and I heard their number. And this is how I saw the horse. Well, let's just stop there. We'll talk about the description of the horses in just a minute. But
Okay.
So going back, we've got God is now saying that trumpet was blown, and now God is saying, okay, we released these 4 angels that were bound up at the great river Euphrates. And really, this becomes how sin goes about affecting the people around you, because you don't live in a vacuum, so
Right.
to speak, using a scientific term, but
That's
you don't
true.
live in a vacuum.
No.
So what you do has impact on
Everything you say,
others
everything you
around
do,
Yeah.
the people you affect, and here's what makes it really scary. If you do things that aren't good, folks are watching that. They're like, "Oh, that's how I need to be."
That's right.
You're making it worse for other people.
Yeah. You're an
we are-
example to others, either good or bad.
And I'm going to use it in the right way. We are literally going to be judged according to how other people respond to our life.
Nice.
How about that?
We might need a
telling you.
moment for that.
I know.
Because the world doesn't use that word right.
They don't.
Well,
Well, I did just there, just that one time.
Teenagers don't.
Yeah.
For sure don't use it.
I literally try to use it the right way.
So what's the reference here to the great river Euphrates?
Oh, me. Not
Not to get too lost in a specific image, but this one is interesting.
So basically, it's a place of death. Okay.
Okay.
We are talking about boundaries. We are talking about what has occurred. And I got some references here for you. Euphrates is associated with the first sin. Okay. According to Genesis 2:10 through 14, the first murder, Genesis 4:16, and the first organized revolt against God in chapter 11, verse 1 through 9. This is all in Genesis. the first war confederation in chapter 14, verse 1, and the first dictatorship in chapter 10, verses 8 through 10. And I think those are there, and those are listed there to let you know the great river Euphrates, the angels were connected with what's going on here because of the landmark of the ancient Babylon.
I think it's a great point.
So I think that's something to bring together and kind of connect with the devastation of chapter 9.
And not to be outdone,
Oh, no, not at all.
Les has some reference material.
I'm guessing it's from the Truth for Today.
It is. Look at that. Look at the outside of that book.
Let's go. Good book.
Really, just two really high-level things. The Euphrates had special meaning to the Jews and to Rome. It's not worth really getting lost in why that is. Paul mentioned some of those very specific things that had a Jewish reference to it and why the Euphrates was meaningful to them.
Right.
One of the four rivers, he didn't say this, but it's one of the four rivers that flowed out of Eden, where man's first home. And he did say, spot where man first sinned, right? It also represents some boundaries, which he mentioned, land of promise to Abraham, so on and so forth. Constant source of danger, back to that point you made
Right.
about death associated with it. Not dissimilar to why Rome might have had some, or it might have meant something to the readers of this who lived under the Roman rule, because, it has a direct correlation to them as well. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so
That's a compliment to what we're talking about here. That's
yeah,
good.
and it's,
It's good
we
stuff.
don't want to get too lost in some specific imagery here, but
Right.
it is interesting to sometimes to just see why was Euphrates specifically mentioned, right?
It is very interesting.
So now we'll just kind of finish the thought. And this is how I saw the horses in my vision as those who rode them. They were breastplates. They wore breastplate. I cannot read today. They wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur. Sulfur. Interesting. I don't see sulfur as a color, but I guess my brain goes immediately to smell.
Oh yeah.
And maybe there's that
Sulfur
disconnect.
is that in the water. You got the smell that comes from that and the taste. It's just nasty all around.
Rotten eggs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bring it. Oh, we just had a very specific thought in our head, right?
No, yeah.
Sulfur.
Oh yeah.
And the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. It's all about the message, folks.
Mm-hmm.
By these three plagues, a third of mankind was killed by the fire, smoke, sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails. For their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them
What
they
an
wound.
animal! What an animal! Good
And
night.
really, that's the shape shifting of a
Yeah.
dream.
Still symbology. Don't get
Because-
wrong.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Because horses in nature are not a predator; they're prey.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think of them in this way,
Right.
but in the context of, of a revelation, it's just really trying to intensify this image of how bad sin is
Oh yeah.
on you and on the people around you, potentially. And that's really kind of where we are with this, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, we're going to wrap it up with a couple of verses here that really hit home, but just before we do it, any high-level view about those two trumpets and how nastiness they're showing with the
I
relationship
think
to Satan?
when you look at the army of the horsemen,
Yeah.
you look at it from two different views. Is
Okay.
this an army of men, or is this an army of demons?
Okay.
I mean, because you're looking at and again, we are talking about symbology, but perhaps the safest interpretation is to see it as a literal 200 million strong army, but a demonic army invading Earth. It's it's kind of a
Yeah.
the what is the most heinous carnal you can imagine, and that's what's being released.
And ultimately, the representation of this is Satan and Satan's
because it's led by the
followers,
star,
if you will.
and not a good star.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the followers of Satan can be anybody in this world
Oh yeah.
that
He will
chooses
use anybody.
chooses to turn their back on God and
That's right.
becomes. I made a reference to Paul before we came on air. I saw on the drive over here, I saw a sticker on a car, and that sticker was vulgar, and it immediately told me about the person sitting in the driver's seat. And I can tell you, when I pulled up beside the car, it did not
disappoint.
It did not
what you thought it would
disappoint.
be.
That's exactly right. Because
Right.
when I looked over at the person, I said, what I see seems to line up almost completely with the vulgarity of the sticker on the back of the car.
Right.
These are the people that we run into in our lives that have no regard for God.
Mm-hmm.
They live the life of sin, and I promise you they're struggling in their lives with the things that sin brings to them, even if they don't appear to be.
For sure.
And then that impacts others and people around them and all that stuff.
It does.
And then verse 20 and 21 kind of summarize this whole concept, right? The
You
rest
thought
of-
you thought the first part was sad.
oh, yeah,
You just-
exactly.
it doesn't get any better from here. Not in
Yeah.
chapter 9.
Oh, yeah, no. And while we're looking at, we haven't even gotten to the seventh one yet, but
Right.
which we won't in this podcast.
No.
But the rest of mankind, verse 20, who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent of their works of the works of their hands, nor give up worshiping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk. Nor did they repent of their murders or their sorceries or their sexual immorality or their thefts. How sad is it that there are people that will never, ever turn their ways to God and away from this kind of life?
What percentage? Here's the really sad question, and I know what the answer is going to be, but no, I don't. What percentage of people think this is okay? To do everything that's wrong, to understand that you're in the depth of sin in life, and to go to the bottom of this and just see what it doesn't end on a high note. Now, basically, they did not repent. Their murders and their sorceries and their sexual immoralities or their thefts. That's it. There's no saving grace at the end.
And I think we have two camps of people here: the ones that don't ever acknowledge that this is bad,
Right.
and the people that acknowledge it but can't
Do anything
stop
about it
doing
or
it.
don't stop it.
They
Yeah.
just
So does it become like an addiction to them, where they just can't do it, or the influence in their life that keeps them from wanting to do right?
yes.
It's just it's all
I
the
think
above.
I think
That's a
the
good point.
psychology of it all. I mean, when we were
It's just sad.
on our other podcast, when we were talking to Lonnie, one of the things Lonnie talked about was that some people just struggle,
Yeah.
in their minds with things, and some people just are devoid of the sensory perception to say, I shouldn't hurt that person
Right.
or do that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's all of the above. But the takeaway for the seven churches up to this point, and these trumpets is,
And for you at your church.
and for you as an individual and you at your church is, this is bad,
Don't let this be you.
and you don't want to be associated with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you time to fix. And really, for me, that means always trying to self-evaluate and try to improve the things that you become aware of
Yeah.
that
for
aren't good in your life,
Mm.
and intensify or enhance the things that are godly.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's bad things happening in life, and there's bad things that, and I'm going to quit referring to him as the star because I think that's too much of a nice word for that.
Yeah, because people have an association that star
The
means
star
good.
is great,
Yeah.
but in this case, in chapter 9, we're talking about some scholars and some translations will say it's a demon, it's an evil angel, but if it's falling from heaven, we're talking about the devil
And given keys
and given keys
to the bottomless pit.
to a fiery forever. I mean, knowing that exists and knowing that's going on, why would you not want to turn from that? Why would you want that forever?
Yeah.
And I think part of it may be ignorance. They don't realize that
Could
it is
be.
forever. And one day I'll fix it. When things get just
Yeah,
right.
I've got time.
I got time.
Yeah.
But the fact is, listener, let me just say this. We don't know what time we have left.
No.
So if you're in a situation, if you're in a place to where you got things going on in your life where there are vices going on that are holding you down or you're influenced in certain ways, find a way to fix it. If you are not
Talk
a Christian,
to somebody.
talk to somebody. If you're not a Christian, study. Obey the gospel. Be immersed in water. Ask for prayers. It may just be a prayer to God.
Yeah.
But whatever your need is, make that happen. We're not going to offer an invitation song or anything, but
I was just sitting here because I was going to start singing.
we do want you to know that while we have time, is the opportunity to fix and to try to increase your opportunities for paradise.
Yeah.
You know? And so avoid, if you're ever feeling bad or you feeling like there's no hope, go to chapter 9. You'll see there's no hope.
Yeah.
And there's ways out of it.
On the other side of it, if you're that person that's listening and you find hope in God and you're striving to be the person that God wants you to be, stay the course.
Absolutely.
Stay the course, because that's what he talks about.
That's
what he told the 7 churches.
That's it.
Yep.
Love it.
And you will receive the crown.
And never be told, whoa.
And never be told, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Go, go, go.
That's right.
For Les Sandifer, I'm Paul Sperlin. This has been Revelation Edition, Coffee Conversations. We thank you for being here with us. We look forward to being with you over that next cup of coffee.